When I dreamed of playing the violin, I thought I would sound like this. But instead, I sound like this. If you can relate, stay tuned because I am here to help you. Today we're going to diagnose some of the most common problems I see getting in the way of getting the best sound you can out of your instrument, especially as a beginner. Problem number one I see with bad sounds is like a bad posture or bad bow hold. If you're very tense and your bow hold and thumb are tense, you're gonna have like a very pinched off sound. So I'm gonna play with my tense hand and my tense shoulders. And okay, so that might be like an over-exaggeration, but even to a smaller degree of that, it's still not gonna sound very good. So you want to be relaxed in your shoulders, relaxed in your bow hold, and then you can get a much more pleasant sound. I'm gonna link below how I teach my bow hold to beginners if you feel like you may just need more help in knowing how to hold a bow. But just some general tips I like to do for beginners just to kind of relax the bow hold, relax your posture are these. First is tense up our shoulders really, really tight. And now let's relax. Okay, so you want your shoulders to be relaxed and down. You basically want to be relaxed from your head all the way down to your toes. I'm demonstrating this in a sitting down position, but you could be standing up, but a lot of us are sitting down in orchestra. So I'm sitting down, so relax all the way down from my head to my toes. My feet are shoulder width apart. I'm not tensing my torso anywhere. I'm not tensing my mouth. If you feel like you're tensing your shoulders a lot, maybe just double check, roll up and roll down, and release any tension in your shoulders. And then when you put your bow on the string, your elbow should be shoulder down and relaxed, and your elbow should be below where your thumb is of your bow. So everything here is relaxed, not tense enough here because it's gonna ruin your sound. So very relaxed, shoulder and elbow. And then your bow hold also needs to be relaxed. So you don't want tense fingers. So I might see bow holds where the fingers are spread apart like this. That's gonna cause some tension. So your fingers should be a natural width apart, because if you let your hand hang down by your side, your hands are gonna have a little bit of spacing, but they're not gonna be walking around like this. That'd be very tense and awkward. And your fingers are also not gonna be squished together. So there is the slightest of space between my fingers, not extreme, not squished together, but just a nice, relaxed, natural spacing. And sometimes the other problem I see with bow holds is a really tense thumb. So you want it to be soft and relaxed here, because if I really tense my thumb, it's not gonna sound good. It's gonna sound really pinched and not good. So that could be a really hidden, sneaky place for tension. And one thing that we can do to kind of relax our fingers is let's go ahead and do a bow hold on our bow, and we're going to just glide up, kind of ice skate our fingers up, and then glide back. And notice how I have some flexibility and loose fingers. So if I'm holding my bow, my hands should be so relaxed that somebody can come up, grab my bow and run away with it. So if my fingers are like this and somebody tries to grab my bow and they can't, my hand's way, way too tight. I should be very relaxed here. The second way I like to work on a relaxed bow hold in beginners is what I do a beginner bow hold and the balance point, where you simply put your hand where it's equal weight here and equal weight there. So you don't have to work so hard, because the frog of the bow is very heavy. But if you hold it here, it's easier to stay relaxed and just kind of get used to that first before you move your hand down here. So you can kind of get relaxed, proper bow hold development going on when you start holding your bow at the balance point. And then when you go down to the advanced bow hold, you're gonna put your thumb here right on the corner of the front. Problem number two for bad sounds on the violin is a crooked bow. So the sounding point on your violin is the place where you put it between the fingerboard and the bridge. And for right now, the very first sounding point I want you to get very good at is the one right in the middle between the bridge and the fingerboard. Later, for like different dynamics and stuff, we can adjust the sounding point, but for right now, get really good at being right in the middle between the bridge and fingerboard. That's gonna give you a really good like just default sound. And so you're gonna be right here, right in the middle, and you want your bow to go in a straight line across. You don't want your bow going crooked this way or that way because it's not gonna sound as good. So that doesn't sound as good as a parallel bow to the bridge. So I like to do a 0.1, 0.2 exercise to practice this. And depending on where you are with the bow hold, you can do the advanced bow hold down at the frog or the beginner bow hold down at the balance point. If you're still trying to perfect your bow hold, I would recommend the beginner bow hold. I call this the 0.1, 0.2 exercise. This is 0.1, this is 0.2. We're gonna find that middle lane sounding point between the bridge and the fingerboard. We're gonna put our bow at 0.1. And notice, try to get your bow going as parallel as you can. Look at it, make sure it's parallel. My shoulders down and relaxed, my elbows relaxed. Remember, number one, which is great posture, right? So this is 0.1. I'm gonna pick up my bow without making any sound, open up my elbow, and place it at 0.2. And I'm gonna make sure my bow's right in the middle between the bridge and fingerboard, and that it looks parallel with the bridge. And then I'm going to pick up my bow without making any sound, go back to 0.1. Same thing, parallel in the middle between the fingerboard and bridge, relax elbow, relax shoulder. And I'm just gonna keep going back and forth, practice this several times. And then the next step is you're gonna connect those 2 points. So my contact point right here, I'm watching my bow like a hawk and I'm keeping that same contact point. And I'm watching my bow, I'm making sure that my angle of my bow is not changing. And then I keep that same contact point the whole time, and you'll start getting a better sound. With that exercise over time, you're gonna memorize how it feels in your arm to open and close your bow. Problem number 3 I see with getting a bad sound out of the violin is crunchy sounds, kind of like this. Okay, so there is something called the sound, like a sound pyramid. There's 3 points. There's the bow speed, there's the weight, and there's the placement. For the last point with the straight bow, we were talking a lot about placement, how we're gonna place our bow here and keep it going straight. A lot of times with the crunchy sound is people, it could be like slowing down their bow speed. So notice if I don't keep my bow flowing, and I kind of start to slow down my bow, you get crunchy because there's too much weight on your bow for the speed that you have. So you have to add more speed to your bow to get it to balance out the natural weight of your bow. So keep your bow flowing, because if I start to slow it down, you get that. So keep the bow flowing, and that should get rid of the crunchy sound. Problem number 4 I see with getting a bad sound out of the instrument is when I hear like a thin, kind of like wimpy, very apologetic type of sound coming out, where it kind of just sounds like. But we want our sound to sound very full and big as we play. So we want it to sound. So some of the differences that I made kind of come back to that sound triangle. So one, the placement. When I kind of have like a thin, wimpy sound, I had my bow was kind of down here towards the fingerboard. And a lot of times I see that bows accidentally skid down the fingerboard because maybe people have their violin down here instead of having their violin parallel with the ground. So if your violin's like this, it's gonna slide down towards the fingerboard, kind of resulting in a thinner tone. So keep your violin up like this. Keep your sounding point, at least for now, right in the middle between the fingerboard and bridge. Just get really good at that placement first. And that will help get a bigger sound. The other thing that I did differently was the bow speed. So when I have my really thin tone, I was doing like a very slow bow speed. And I was using like this much bow. So to use more bow in that same period of time, we have to move our bow faster. So fast bow speed as opposed to slow bow speed. So if I move my bow faster, we're gonna get more sound out. The third thing I did to make my tone sound bigger was I wasn't playing lightly. I was kind of putting some weight or even some pressure with my pointer finger a little bit more. So when I have my thin tone, I was playing with like barely any weight. So you gotta have some like weight to your arm. You can even add some like, you can even press a little bit with towards your pointer finger to dig into the string a little bit more. But not too much, because if you do it too much pressure, you're gonna get some of that crunch is gonna come back. But you want enough that it's a big sound. With the thin tone, think about your bow speed. Make sure it's fast enough bow speed. Bow weight, make sure you're putting enough weight. And bow placement, put it not too close to the fingerboard. The fifth problem I see with bad sounds coming out of the instrument is actually related to the left hand. I see this problem most commonly happen in beginners. So first pieces we learn are just open strings. And that's all fine and dandy, but this problem we notice when we start adding the left hand fingers, and if the string isn't compressed down all the way, then you're gonna get like a kind of like a weird sound. I don't know how to describe it. It's just really weird, maybe fuzzy, but if I press down my finger, press down the string all the way, the instrument's gonna ring much more clearly. So be sure that the string is pushed down all the way down if you're noticing those kind of sounds coming out of your instrument. Hope all these tips help. These are mostly general points. I might make more videos going more in depth in all these points and maybe talking about other little intricacies to developing your sound as a violinist. But I just wanted to give you some jumping off points to maybe start running with and doing some experimenting with your sound. So anywho, be sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.